What's good, everyone? This is Dev the Coolest.
And this is Ray Bay.
And this is JB.
And welcome to SlickTalk with a hashtag.
With a hashtag. It's lit, it's lit.
I almost said, and we.
And we are SlickTalk. That's cute, too. Welcome. We are SlickTalk. I mean, we are SlickTalk. So
we are.
That's what it is.
Come on, shaky.
Come on, shaky. Creaky chairs. Like people having sex in the back.
Oh, my God.
But welcome back, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We have another action-packed episode.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, today we're talking about, do you have to pick between your blackness and your gayness?
Choose between it.
Choose between it.
I mean, this is a little question before we go into the segment.
So basically, what it is that can both coexist?
Mm-hmm.
Is what you're saying in the same realm?
Well,
like,
not even like it does because we are black gay men. However, in terms of like movements and helping the community,
Oh, I have definitely have thoughts on that. So
okay, well, why don't you start off then, Dev? What are your thoughts?
Since you definitely got thoughts on it.
No, I mean, hold on. So, is there a question?
Oh yeah, well yeah.
How about what would be the question?
That's good, because I could just go on and on.
Yeah, because it's kind of loaded.
Let me give you a controversial one. Which one would you pick first? Would you pick blackness versus your gayness?
Like which has a priority in my
life?
Ooh.
That's a good one. Right. Well, you know what?
Ooh.
Shut up with the ooh and the ah. Honestly, I will always pick my blackness first.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
With that, it is unfortunate that I feel like my blackness doesn't choose me first.
Ooh.
So that's where I'm kind of like,
as the individual that you are.
As a gay man, yes. Because it's like, okay, you're a black man, so yes, you're a part of this unfortunate patriarchy, but then when you find out I'm a gay black man, it's like, oh, okay.
Kind of lessons. It feels like
exactly. Only my Black Lives mattered before I told you that I was gay.
Ooh,
Dude. So that's I will always choose blackness, but I don't think blackness has always chosen me.
Damn.
So
wow. And why would you always choose blackness?
Because that's just what I am. That's that.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Like if I walk into a room, they're not gonna know unless I come in switching it with a purse. They'll probably be like, okay, well, there's something going on.
Look at this black gay. Oh, okay, so now I'm a
Look at the fairy.
Gay.
No, but
look at the fairy. What? Come on, fairy.
With the wand. But no, when I walk into the room, the first judgment that people are gonna make is he's a black man.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's, just what it is.
I feel that. Just like Dev, I mean, anybody that really knows me knows I'm going to choose my blackness over anything.
Yeah.
Look at your sweater. Rooting for everybody black.
I love this sweater. I wear this everywhere. I wear it loud and proud everywhere. But yeah, just to piggyback off what Dev said, I am a black man first. And I say that with so much pride. I love being a black man. And then in addition to that, I love being a black gay man. I love that. When I walk into the room, even though the first thing that they do see is me being a black man, I feel like I hold weight with being a black man. Even though, just like Dev said, I do agree with Dev. It at times feels like, we're not chosen, in the black community.
Yeah.
We get lessened because once they figure out that we are gay, I still take pride in the fact that with being a black man, there's something strong about us. There's something that, it's like people just walking in a room. I feel like some other ethnicities like feel intimidated by just our presence.
Clenching their purses.
Yeah.
Right?
So when I walk into a room, like because of who I am and because I know that I'm a black man, like I just hold my head up. Growing up, my mom always told me to keep my head up. So I put my shoulders back and I hold my head up.
The chest out.
This is who I am. Like I'm representing for my race. No matter me being a black gay man, I'm still representing for my culture, which is black. So it's unfortunate that I just can't be seen as a person first,
as a human,
without you having. I mean,
with
realistically,
labels,
that's just the way it is.
Especially in this lifetime, it's nothing's gonna.
So it's unfortunate. I mean, I do believe that I coexist with both of them.
Yeah.
And I openly am gay, and I will tell you, I don't hide from the fact.
Right.
I can't.
If you really need to know for some reason.
If you really need to know something. But the crazy thing about it is I can hide because the kind of person I am, I know just my demeanor and my just the way I am, it's not necessarily evident to everyone I run into that I am a gay man. So technically, if I wanted to, unfortunately for other people, they can't. That's who they are. If they are a little feminine, it kind of shows. Even though people won't necessarily know that they're gay, because you can be feminine and not gay.
Right.
But obviously, people assume based upon your actions that you are of one thing.
They have their questions. Like,
you know, I can hide that, but I refuse to hide that. So I am open with it, and I'm like, yeah, you already know I'm black, but this is also what I am as you know, as well.
That intersectionality.
So. Exactly. So
what about you, Ray-Ban?
I definitely agree. I mean, when I step into the room, the first thing you see is my blackness. You don't know my sexuality. I haven't opened my mouth. I haven't said a word. But you notice, okay, there is a black man disrupting the landscape of all these white people. And I realized that, you know, that type of double consciousness, that is something I felt, and that's why I've always been, I think, first protective of my blackness. And but then I also realized that my sexuality is very salient to me. So I am within that intersection, but I put black people first. You know, and then if you look at it, a lot of people are like, oh, you don't fight for your sexuality or your queerness as hard as you fight for your blackness. I was like, look, I grew up with, you know, family members who don't understand what being queer mean or, you know, all of that stuff. That's something that I can teach. That I can teach them to love me. I can teach them to, accept it. I don't have time to teach other people to love my blackness. That's not my community. That's not my job.
Right. It's not your obligation.
For my people, I would definitely help you. You know, learn to love who I am.
Absolutely.
Nice. That's how I feel about it.
And I also think, just to add something else, I also think our stories would be a little different. I mean, we can only speak from our personal experiences, but I know that for my personal experience, the reason why I strongly put my blackness before anything is because I grew up in a community where I didn't actually see a large representation of black gay men at all. In the Bay Area, there wasn't
like proudly
a
and
proud
open
black gay man that was masculine or that just held himself like a regular dude. It was always the extreme of someone acting, you know, feminine or anything like that.
Like when you saw growing up, we saw like In Living Color and or Sinead. Not to say Martin was playing Sinead, he was playing a woman, but still, like you always. That's growing up in the black culture, you always saw gay as extremely flamboyant, and it's just like.
I mean, obviously, it's changing now, which is dope. You know, we see different representations of that community.
But our foundation,
now, even in the Bay Area right now, there's times where speaking for myself, I don't, you know, feel welcome in that community, in the gay community. It's like going to Castro and San Francisco. We don't see that is, and I'll say it right now, that is a older white man,
absolutely.
Gay man's
and then
playground.
I think I don't know if you're about to ask this, but I think that brings up another point. So because we're definitely speaking on our blackness, but within the gay scene, there is a patriarchy with that. So I don't think people realize that as black people in the gay community, we are also being suppressed.
Oh my goodness!
You know what I'm saying? And people don't really realize that. So. Like I love my sexuality. I love who I am. But obviously, if I could choose something different, you know, I don't know. I love men, but there is also like a patriarchy, and with that, you always see the white man as the pinnacle of the gay man. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so sad to see that even in the gay community, patriarchy is repeated. It's like you are basically you might as well be a straight white man because you're just repeating his tactics on his community. And when I go to the Castro, there's two things I see. Either they make you feel unwelcome by the way they look at you,
they don't even
the way they treat you, you know, or you're not seen, or when you are seen, it's like you're sexualized. You know?
Exactly.
Fetishized.
I don't know how many times people have walked up to me and asked me, oh, I've always wanted a black boyfriend. I was like,
or do you have a BBC?
Right, like
for those that don't know, BBC is a big black cock. I'm sorry. It is. Though.
It is. No, it is.
They always. I mean, even if I do, obviously I do. But like, even if that's the case, like,
come on,
why do I have to be stooped to you asking me that question?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's rude.
You know, that's very rude. That's
like
very
in person,
rude.
Like, you know, that, you know. I'm sorry, Ray.
No.
Right.
You just gotta let people know. Like, go back to the porn you were watching.
Right.
It's not reality.
In fact, you just keep that in your head. But I'm not here to be your toy.
Exactly.
Then with that, there's also within the gay especially in the Bay Area, with black men dating exclusively white, Latino, and Asian men. They don't date within their race.
That's a lot to unpack.
I mean, maybe we should have someone on that is dating outside that's exclusively and kind of have their perspective from it. Absolutely, I want to understand.
Very, very open to understand.
I love black men. I love everybody, but I love black men. That's my ideal. That would be my ideal husband. Is a black man. I think there's a lot of self-hate that goes into that.
Yeah.
And that's just what I think it is. And that, to wrap it around, is because I think within blackness, when it comes to blackness, you're not accepted. Yeah. So it's like, well, I'm going to go to everybody else that's like coming to me like I'm freaking a light and native flies, you know?
Absolutely.
So, I mean...
It has a lot to do with environment, stuff like that. So I try to be open-minded when it comes to why they are, speaking on that. I try to be open-minded and try to understand why I'm like, maybe it's the environment and they're used to one type of thing. But it's like, once you grow up and you're introduced and exposed to different cultures and even your culture, because that's what happened to me. Like, I didn't grow up in a neighborhood that was majority... black, but once I got older, I took it upon myself to, and I've mentioned this before in the podcast, took it upon myself to step out and, experience more and, saw the black man in society. And I haven't looked back since.
As someone who's, is very, I'm the newest, to the U.S. in a sense, and the way that black men are viewed and why black men date outside of their race, it's not just self-hatred, it's programmed self-hatred. If you look at media, how many TV shows or movies do you see of black men being in love with each other?
Right.
You don't see that. Like, you see white guys in love with white men. You see white guys dating. Couple. You see an interracial couple like Latino, white, Asian, white. Everything is referenced to white. But for me, it's like, my dream has always been to, be with a black man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah, I think that feeds into the whole ideal that any time black men show love, it's automatically labeled as gay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously within the black community, being gay is looked down on, extremely. So.
Very true.
That is very, very true.
I hear a lot for, especially from, religious communities, they mention the gay agenda. Do you have, in any way, I'm going to start with Dev, an opinion on that?
A gay
let me explain what the gay...
gay, so I'm trying to think about, our topic of a conversation is choosing
blackness
black versus
gay.
Yeah.
So to connect that, what would you say to connect, is it the black church?
The black church or the black religious community believe that there is a gay agenda to, in a sense, undo the work of black,
their religion.
Black movements and things like that, or just black families.
Now I get it. I get where they're coming from, but if they're going to say that there is a gay agenda, is there also a black agenda? Is there a Latin agenda? You know what I'm saying? Is every marginalized group, are they going to be looked at as pushing an agenda? Yeah. For just wanting basic human rights and equal support from the government. I don't think there's a gay agenda. I just think that within the community, we want our voices heard. We want equal representation. We want to see us in shows. We want to see more black men love. Stuff like that. I will say there are times like when I would go into an interview and I'm like, I just put that little plug in like, oh, I'm gay, or my partner or something. And then they immediately feel like, oh, okay, he's a little less intimidating because he's gay, right? Yeah. So that's an unfortunate thing. I mean, there's a pro and con to that, but going back to the initial question, no, I don't believe there's a gay agenda as much as we want equal representation and everything else.
Yeah.
So. For me personally, I actually disagree. I think that there is a gay agenda, but not necessarily that's stemming from the LGBTQ community. I don't think it's coming from our community per se. I think it's coming from I guess media, media pushing, the gay agenda, which I mean could be seen as a good thing because just like I said, like I didn't say yet, but basically it is important that we have representation shown from our community and everything. That is important. So I believe that, you know, even though I feel like the media and like different outlets are pushing this gay agenda, I feel like even if it is pushed, it is important because we should be represented and we should be seen in TV and television and movies and everything like that, and TV and movies and music. But yeah, at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of people that are working, executives that are saying, oh, we have to put this gay person in this movie or this show so it can bring in a larger audience. Like if we have this gay person like on How to Get Away with Murder, obviously they have 2 gay characters on How to Get Away with Murder.
Couple.
2 gay couple, a couple that's on How to Get Away with Murder. I'm speaking fast. They're on How to Get Away with Murder, and I feel like yes, it is representation, and it reaches out and it shows that that's real. Like it is in our community, you know, that is in our lives. Like we have friends, like straight people have gay friends and everything like that. But at the same time, it brings in more viewers because gay people are like, oh, these, you know, I can see myself in this show and I can relate to these people, and it keeps me interested in this show. And it just, and even reality television and some television shows, I feel like they market the shows and they market ideas and concepts of the TV shows and movies towards people that can be able to relate to.
Okay. Right.
So it could be both sides. I feel like you can definitely, and there can be not a gay agenda. There can just be a conscious effort to have representation amongst LGBT communities.
And like you said, it's not coming from
it's
the
not
LGBT
coming from our community. No,
so that's something I definitely want to highlight. Like when I think of gay community or gay community, the gay agenda, or when it's brought up, it's always like bashing the LGBTQ community. Like we're just like trying to throw gay in everybody's face, and it's like, no, like these are just people trying to they're actually utilizing us and like trying to push something. I don't know if it's necessarily an agenda, but they're definitely trying to do something. And like you said, probably bring in more viewers that identify, or absolutely. I don't know.
I mean, because overall, I mean, it brings in more revenue every time they have. I mean, even if it's not. I mean, obviously,
more representation is more revenue.
Yeah, but exactly. Like say for example, just an example, and then I'll stop. But even the gay prize, when you think about it, it's important for us to celebrate that in the gay, you know, our gay community and everything like that. But do you know how much money goes into?
Oh yeah, it's become very corporate. It's become very corporate.
Tons and tons of money like that. So if you believe that you can make this much money from having this event every year and bringing people from all over the world, hotels are sold out, restaurants are sold out, and it becomes bigger. That's why I don't like taking part in the gay prides anymore, because it becomes bigger than just celebrating the fact that we are liberated and we can actually be who we are and we can get married and we can celebrate and we're free.
That's
and everything like that.
That's not really
it's not like that no more. It's a money making machine, and then you have all these straight people coming out to a party. So we're not shade. I mean, celebrate. You can be our allies, everything like that. But please,
y'all partying.
Please remember and recognize that you're coming to celebrate a fact that we are liberated and we can be ourselves.
Right.
And this is bigger than you just coming and having drinks and showing your ass and everything like that.
And
anyway, so that's my belief.
I actually agree with both of you. I think when you look at something from the outside, like it's, you know how they have the kind of the saying where you look in through a window, you don't see as much as you would see through a doorway. So I think the community, like the black religious community, or the, you know, heterosexual community that doesn't really have a big enough like doorway to see through to the gay community. They make assumptions and they talk about the little things that they see and blow it up out of proportion, and they take a little bit of a media and create a narrative, and we have no say in it.
Right, and I think pushing it.
Exactly, and I think that's what happens until somebody has a gay son, you know, or things like that. They don't understand the kind of life that we lead.
Right.
So for me, what I want to see more of is black gay men having more say in what goes into media. Because if I'm looking at the image of us in TV shows, I can think of maybe one positive show.
Noah's Ark.
Everybody. Noah's Ark. That's all we've ever had. Or, you know, we had the skinny. The skinny was like really scandalous in a way. It's problematic in a sense. Well. But it's just like it's never been like balanced. Like you don't see healthy relationships. I mean, it's like let's take stereotypes.
Because we're not sitting at the table.
No,
we have all these older white gay men
exactly.
that are sitting at the table making these decisions and then talking to some people and thinking they know what goes on.
And you also have writers, even though they could be black gay men, they also know that what people want to see in media.
That's why I'm so excited for, and this is just a sidebar, I'm so excited for Lena Waithe.
Yes.
Because she is like killing it right now, and she is part of the LGBT community and opening up doors for LGBTQ writers to come and sit at the table and tell our experience. The same thing with Issa Rae.
Yes.
I think she's going down that road as well because she has a lot of friends that are part of the community as well. But I did have a question. Do you think it's imperative that we have a voice on, like us in the gay community, black queers, have a voice at the table when it comes to on black movements, like Black Lives Matter? Do you think,
absolutely, because
how would we coexist in that?
The thing is, a lot of people don't realize is that the movements are filled with black queer women and men.
Yeah, already.
Those are the people leading the movements.
But then people don't see that.
No, they don't, because you don't see our sexuality through TV. You see our faces. But it takes somebody who understands, like somebody who's never been comfortable on one side. I think what happens with black men sometimes, it's like they understand how they're seen, but they also know that the fact that they're male, they are allowed to retreat somewhere and be comfortable. So when you're a black gay man, it's like you know how to be like rejected from your own community and the white community. And so therefore you fight to at least save one side because you still have to be with it.
Exactly.
So I think people need to know this, but it's not broadcasted by the media.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is D-Ray gay? Like, is he gay at all?
Who was that?
D-Ray, or what is that? He's the one that wears the blue vest. The blue vest. His name is
D-Ray. The one for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't want to say.
I'm not trying to assume, but I mean,
I want to say I heard it, but I don't want to. He say, she say. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just curious about that.
Yeah.
What about you, Dev?
We are at going back to my initial. We are at the table, but I don't think our blackness is feeding us. Like we're at the table. We're making these decisions. Only when because it's convenient for black lives overall, but when it comes to our sexuality, we're like suppressed, like we're put down, and it's like we can't ignore that because that's a part of us. And then to Ray's point, like then you're stuck with having to choose, like, do I want to stick with my blackness or do I want to stick with my gayness, like my sexuality, which is just one component of your overall makeup. But
do you feel like being that us being our movement as black people in trying to change policy and mass incarceration and us not getting
that's
shot.
all necessary.
Yeah. But do you think that's the bigger picture, right?
Right.
So do you think that sometimes we could just let our gayness take a back seat while we focus on the bigger
absolutely.
picture?
I wouldn't say a back seat, but I mean, different things are going to require different reactions from us, right? Like how we move. Like we're definitely going to have to, like, you're not going to go meet about prison reform and then shout, "Oh, gay lives matter too." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I asked that question because I see that some people try to blend the two, and people try to.
I think there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah,
like you don't always have to toot your
point.
Sexuality.
And
no, there's always a time and a place.
You can always be true to who you are, and be true to yourself.
But you don't always have to mention it.
And that's one thing I say. If you're fighting for one thing, fight for that thing.
Fight for it
at that time. You can always fight for the next thing the next time, but don't try to intertwine both things because then one of the things ends up taking
a back seat. And I think that's why people think there's a gay agenda because that sometimes it's interjected at the wrong time.
I disagree because one thing we have to realize as black gay men is the moment you let your gayness take a back seat, when you do finally get to where you're going, you're not going to be represented. So if you let your gayness take a back seat, your gayness will not be liberated when black people are liberated.
But you said already that when you first walk into a room, the first thing that people see is a black man.
Yes,
so
but it's also up to you to reinforce that, no, I am a black gay man. I know what you see. And yes, I would definitely support Black Lives Matter, but I'm equally going to be involved in uplifting
absolutely,
the LGBT community.
Absolutely. Like I think you should definitely lead your life as a black gay man and be like comfortable and open if you're if you're in that space. Because some people are still like figuring out their sexuality.
But what I'm saying is that don't go to a rally that's fighting for racial justice and fighting for, police brutality, and then during that rally you step up and you say,
gay rights.
Hey, so gay rights and black gays are doing this. We're not focusing on black gays right now at this point.
No, that's not what I am saying. But I think you didn't give that example at first. You didn't give that example at first. So I'm looking in history. If you look at black women fought for black liberation. And then they were also fighting for the women's movement. The black liberation movement was telling women, you have to let your sexuality, I'm not your sexuality, but your gender, to take a back seat and fight for blackness. And then the women's movement told them, you have to let your race take a back seat. So what ended up happening, they both, even though black women were literally leading in both of these movements, they were not represented, they were not shown to be leaders in these movements. So now they had to have their own movement.
I disagree with that to a certain extent. I mean,
and how so?
A lot of people, like during the Black Panther movement, Angela Davis is highly up. Like when people think of the Black Panther movement, they think of Huey P. Newton and they think of Angela Davis.
Here's what people don't talk about: the violence of black women in the Black Panther movement have experienced from men in the movement.
No, absolutely.
Sexual
there's always
violence.
Going to be a patriarchy.
Yeah. However, because we did not address the issues of gender in movements, these women are literally be physically and sexually violated. And we don't know that in history. Why? Because men wrote history.
Right. Yeah. Well, I totally get I get your point. Absolutely. To the initial point, though, I think there is a time and place. You know what I'm saying? Never put your any part of yourself. Always come up, show up, be there, be present, be at the table, be in the room. However, not to beat the point, but I'm not going to say when I'm in a meeting about prison reform and men that are incarcerated for 10 plus years on marijuana charges, it's like, I'm not going to be like, oh, by the way, I don't feel safe because I'm gay.
Well,
or I'm not going to say that. I'm not even going to go to the extreme of saying, and then in addition to that, gay black men in prison are raped or taken advantage of. Or anything.
That's just, I don't think that's the conversation. Not to say at that point, and that's not to say that the conversation shouldn't be had or we should steer away from it. It definitely should be had, and then you need to create those spaces to have the conversation. Absolutely.
But here's the thing, though.
If you feel like the conversation isn't being had.
What you're talking about is not something that actually happens. This is a side conversation of people that are not in the movement. People that are leading the movement, Black Lives Matter, are queer black women. And what do they say? Black Lives Matter.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then they say all Black Lives Matter, meaning that if you're queer, you're trans, if you're bi, that is also important because they know that from history, if you let one of these identities slip and not bring everybody to the table, somebody is going to be sacrificed.
Well, yeah.
It's like they say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Come on.
Well, you can eat me. Now, let me stop. Let me stop. I didn't mean to take it there that quick. But, I get it.
It's not that, it's not like black women ever stop fighting for blackness. It's just like, even when they were fighting for blackness, their gender was not respected. And I think that's what I'm talking about. Like, you are your full self.
Absolutely.
I am fighting for black people.
Right.
However, I will always fight for black gay men, black
Absolutely.
gay
women.
trans people.
I'm not saying that I won't at all. I'll always fight for black gay men or fight for the black gay gay community.
I think I just hope that as a black community, we get a little bit more support in that.
Yes.
Like, we're in this together. Like, it's like...
We are, but you also have to understand, like, black gay men and black women been fighting for men. Black men. And then we find out, black women are now being abused and jailed at a rate that is, like, about to meet the black gay men.
Right. And that's a conversation that needs to be had as well.
Yes.
And we need to learn from that and move forward.
And I recognize that fully. And,
yeah, I love, we always say we love black women, so we with y'all, so we hear y'all, we see y'all.
Shit, I'm about to vote for Black Women 2020.
Yes, come on, Kamala.
So,
but yeah, well, this conversation can definitely go on and on, basically, because our experience is our whole life, is what we, being raised in church and all of that stuff. But please feel free to comment and chime in. Let us know what you feel about this. If we missed something, please feel free to throw it out there in the comment section and have some respectful dialogue. Like,
absolutely.
It's free to think.
If you're in the intersectionalities of being a gay black man or a black woman, gay black woman, what do you think? Can both coexist? Like, do one take a backseat in your life?
Right. Or do you fight for both all the time?
All the time.
So, but that concludes this episode of Slick Talk.
Great conversation.
Yes,
guys.
good job, Ray. That was a nice. That
Ray was getting in. He started sweating and stuff.
Ooh, right. He was
you know how I get. You know how I get.
With Black Lives.
I'm just passionate.
Come on, passionate. Get you a microphone and get you outside.
Right.
I will be.
Yes, come on.
I'm tired of this.
You running for president too?
Probably not, no. I'm not going to be part of the system. No.
But thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll see y'all very, very, very soon. We love y'all. Talk to y'all later. Bye.